Here is the printer. I'm excited to unbox and set up this printer and do some printings. Here is the Digicom multi-plug. Let's open this box. It's nicely packed. This is the printer. This is the power cable. And this over here is the connection, USB connector. In this case, these are the three ink bottles: cyan, yellow, magenta and black. The black bottle comes pretty big, and comparing to these color bottles, these are the cartridges. This one is color, as you can see, the C initial, and this one is black cartridge. I found the instructions here with the CD. I flipped the box, turned it upside down for the easy extraction of the printer, and this is what I got. This is upside down. I got 1 year warranty on this. So this is the printer after getting it out of the box. As you can see, this is the ink tank where the black ink will go, and similarly these are for colored inks, and there is an option for color print, color photocopy or black photocopy, and the stop button if anything goes wrong, and the increment button for increasing the copies of paper or photocopy, and this is for power indication, and this is for if the printer goes into some issues, technical issues. This is for maintenance. This is the power button, and this is the display where the number of copies will be displayed, and these are the safety harnesses that kept the lead intact for packaging and distribution, and these are for the ink indicators. This is the paper outlet tray, and this is the extension, and since it's all-in-one paper, all-in-one printer, you can see the scanner. This is the scanner, and it is labeled for letter A4, B5, and the starting point or the placing the notch is here, and there are also some markings here for the paper size, and this is the scanner. Let us go inside the printing mechanism. So after taking out the safety harness there, the orange, this one, we will get to see inside. We are inside the printer, and you can see there is also safety harness for the safety harness, and this cover to safeguard the cartridge head, and this is for black refueling, and these are for colors. uh, these are labeled cyan, magenta and yellow, and we'll have to fill those empty tanks with this respective color. I'm now going to install the cartridges and this cartridge head into this mechanism, and I'm referring the instructions here, and which says to release the lock here, and it will open like this, and to do the followings. And I will follow the steps. Let's open uh, this mechanism, unlock this mechanism by pressing this and lifting it up. One thing you have to notice is that if you move this here or there, it won't work. You have to place it right here between this gap, so that you can easily lift this, unlock this and lift this like that. I was able to release this here. Now we are going to insert these cartridges inside this yeah, whatever you may say it. I don't have the terms right now. I'll definitely do a voiceover. And you have to peel this plastic like that. See, it's quite hard to peel it out. This is the casing where the cartridge is placed safely. So after releasing this plastic, you get the cartridge right there. This is for color, and you have to release by placing your finger here over the C initial. You can peel this out like that. You have to keep this initial so that you won't be confused, and it indicates color cartridge, and it is a clever move to leave it there and release this head. In this safety protection film that was protecting the connector, and so if you can see it or not, I'm going to move this camera a little bit here. There is the connecting circuit board, connecting circuit, and you have to connect that with this area. So what you should do is make this area facing up and this area facing towards that area, and place it like this. There you go. And I'll do the same for the black. As you can see, I have this black cartridge, and I'm doing the same to this, peeling off the labeling and leaving this area. So I'm going to insert that also, like what I did with the colored one, facing this side up and this side towards that connecting area. And make sure you don't bump up with the surrounding. The cartridges are very fragile, and after that you need to close the cartridge like this. After you hear the click or loud sound of the springs, it's set, and you have to, what you should do is press these buttons to make them lock, and do this jointly at the same time like that. Please do not please do not push those buttons separately, as it's mentioned here also. Press down both join button completely. Please don't do this or this. You have to press them at once. I'm going as per the instructions, and after the installation of the cartridges, it is said that to turn on the printer. For doing that, we have to close this lid by lifting this up. You can see the lifting mechanism is locked there, and after doing a slight lift, it will be unlocked and you can close the lid. And now I will connect a power cord and turn this printer on. As you can see, the power extension cord goes right there. I have connected the printer to the power supply, so I'm turning on the printer now. So I'm pressing this button. You can see it's blinking and the printer is live. It's doing something of some kind of processing, the first processing, and it's seen on the display and the blinking light. The ink label to 0. That's it. We have the ink refill indicator, and we are going to do the refilling. Now what we are going to do is fill the empty tanks with these inks. I'll show you step by step. And remove this plastic packaging, and remove this also, the plastic packaging. One thing I like about this ink bottle is that it is spill proof ink, and I'll show the process on how you can do that. Make sure you have some cotton towels in case you wind up messing the ink here and there. I'm ready to do the refill, and as you can see, I have opened the covers, and this is the ink that I'm going to fill right now. So make sure to do some shaking to mix it all, and then you have to remove the lid like this. Before that, make sure you remove these lids of rubber like this, and by opening like this and carefully, you have to do the squeezing. As you may see at the bottom left, that I am pouring the ink, doing the squeezing therapy. And what it does is, since the bottle is quite hard, it requires some strength to squeeze the ink out. Make sure to pour up to this level. Make sure the ink bottle is completely empty. Now you need to close this tightly so that no ink can be spilled or can escape from the ink tank. You may see some bubbles here. It's okay, since the tank was filled with air before we fill the ink. Let's close it and do the same to these colored ink tanks. It is advised to do the refilling simultaneously as labeled here, in order to get into the rhythm and not to be confused, as filling this with magenta, or filling this with sand, or filling this with yellow in the while we get mm, while we ignore this, the printer will print the different colors in different formats. As you have filled the magenta color here, and when you want to print, whenever you print a blue colored picture, it will print in magenta, since you have poured the magenta here. So make sure you do the refilling as per level here. So let's start the refilling. Same procedure as the black. I've removed the lid, the cover. I'm going to do the refill just like what I did with the black, and I'm going to do the same. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't squeeze too fast. You have to let the ink settle to the bottom here. Since it's two layered, it takes time to go from here to there. Do the squeezing. Squeeze, 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 let go, squeeze and let go, squeeze and let go. Like this, like this. Make sure you fill the ink tank up to this level. Have some time for the ink tank to release the bubbles or air it had earlier. I'm filling the bottle lighter than before, since all the inks are poured, and you have to do some like this, since the ink won't enter, since the density is getting less and less as you have less and less ink in the bottle. So you have to do something like this, and that's it. It's all poured in. Now I will do the same with the other ink bottles, and we'll proceed to the next. The refilling is now all done, and the bottles are empty. Now after the refilling is done, we are going to close this by lifting and slowly putting it down. What we are going to do is, we are going to make sure all the inks are filled, and let the printer acknowledge that, or make sure the inks are filled. We have to make this refill icon disappear by pressing. I'm pressing the black, and it is analyzing. It's taking some time. I guess it is the standard procedure for every printer at the initial phase of setup to this or to take this long time. Said here that ink preparation takes about 5 to 6 minutes. Proceed to the next page. In the next page it is said that to connect to your computer, so I'm going to connect my laptop. So now we are going to connect the printer to my Lenovo laptop and proceed with the connection and setting up the printer. The printer is still doing the OK. It is said that if the number 1 is displayed while the printer is not connected with the laptop, then the ink preparation setup is ready. And if you get a different result, such as E04 or E05 or E09 or PBD or this ink icon and 0. There are many possible chances that this might have occurred, so there is also troubleshooting options. So now I'm going to connect the printer to the laptop and do the driver setup. I have connected the USB cable from the printer to the laptop using the USB 3.0, and I have already downloaded this driver, and I'll close this. And make sure you are connected to internet over Wi-Fi or LAN connection, and the setup process is being conducted. It will take some time. Yes, that driver was an extraction file, was extracted this software. I'm going to do the start setup button, checking the items to be downloaded. So I was telling you to make sure the internet is connected. What it will do is download latest drivers available, and it also checks the compatibility of the printer with your laptop model, and downloads the required files. It says it has 11 items to download, and it has already downloaded 3. Wanted to have a Canon printer, a ink printer with all-in-one capabilities, such as doing the scanning and doing the photocopies and color printing, of course. So we're in the step 1, and it is advised you to choose your location. I have chosen Asia and selecting the orders and doing the next, clicking the next button. There is the EULA or End User License Agreement. It's too long. I probably trust Canon's policies and go for yes, and I hit agree. Then it proceeds to second step. I got this notifications that you have to deactivate the block. You must deactivate the block on the software in this Windows, the Windows firewall function. So I'm going for next. The laptop is checking for the printer status. Okay, it is advised to. It is the a USB cable is connected to the printer. Please disconnect it. So I'm going to disconnect it. It is easy to disconnect from here. Okay, and I'm going to press next. Then what it is doing is it is downloading some utilities. Okay, after 8 minutes and some time, the printer connection is required. So it is said to connect the printer and the computer using the USB cable. Make sure the printer is turned on. So I'm going to connect the printer by connecting the USB drive, USB cable that I recently unplugged. Okay, so I think I have to load some paper over this loading tray. Before loading the paper in the paper tray, you have to adjust this up to the border line, and after that you load some paper. Make sure the papers are smooth, and after that you can slide this back to make sure the paper is in place. These are for alignment, and I will do a test print to see if the cartridges that I already put there are aligned or not. So I'm going to print a sample. So by following instructions, I have load paper with the print side facing up. I have loaded the paper, sliding the paper into the tray. So it is advised to insert the paper in portrait mode, not in landscape mode. So after that I adjusted the slider, and I'm advised to pull out the tray, so I'm going to pull out the tray and the extension also. So after that I'm going to do the printing. Printer is set and the print paper is loaded and adjusted. I'm going to hit the next button and it says test print. Test printing will be performed to check the printer's operation. Load plain paper into printer. Click start. When this test printing is complete, click next. If a print error occurs, follow the on-screen instructions to start the setup again. So I'm going for start. Okay, the printer has shown some activities and it is doing the print up. Okay, I got some. It seems the alignment is good and the printer is set up pretty good. So I'm going to do some test printing. So the printer is finally done setting and everything works fine. So I have set it to default. After I choose the next button, there are some options to install these things such as user manual. I already have the user manual in printed form, so I don't want to um, download that, so I uncheck that. My image garden, you can import photos and use them to create and print personalized items such as collages, cards and calendars. You can also print borderless photos and correct enhance images with simple steps used together with image display to generate recommendations for sale. So it's actually a utility to work on images and print them in any format you want and in any patterns you want, such as collages, cards or calendars. So I'll go for that, and it because it is of 710 MB. So what does this quick menu mean? So a quick menu, you can quickly launch software or manual for your Canon product. You can also quickly access the websites which provide useful information about your Canon product or helpful websites. So I'm going to install that also. It will help me in troubleshooting or updating the application of the software driver software. So I'm going to check that. And easy web X, which means easy web print ex allows you to cut portions of a web page file. So I can just cut some portions of the web page as a photo and then print them in any layout I want. It appears on your browser as a handy tool, so it will integrate in the browser as a extension or some plugin, so it will be used in many times. So I can print any portions of the web page and directly to the printer. So I'm going to click next. So after clicking next, it says the software that you have selected requires installation of a .NET framework. This software may not be installed if you are not connected to the internet. Okay, so I'm going for OK since I have got the internet connection, and it's calculating the time. So the print, the setup is almost done. I have completed the setup printer and it's successful, and exiting the software. It actually takes time for any kinds of software to load, so it's obvious you have to wait for some time. So I finally got the Canon quick menu here, and which has a list of icons such as scanning photos or starting the easy photo print ex that we can use in the web pages, clipping some artworks or some text from the web page and printing them directly in any layout we want. And this is a kind of quick menu icon. This is the help, and this is for the website shortcut, I guess. So let's do some printing. I'm actually printing this directly from the photo editor tool, photo viewer tool, and there is an option for print, for the print option icon, and the printing options are loaded. I'm going to select, or it's already been selected, the G2010 series, and it's connecting the application to the printer so that they can communicate with each other by sending informations. Okay, it's done, and we can choose the orientation from landscape to portrait. a portrait to landscape. Okay, and it also changes like that. And then I will get this portrait view, and I can choose the copies number, the number of copies I want to make a print of this image or file, and I've chosen the A4 as standard, and the paper type is plain paper, and you can also choose from many different options. And plain paper, full size, photo size full. So I'm going to print this. I'm going to hit the print button, and let's see how the printer reacts. Okay, the printer has shown some activity on the laptop. So here we have print. You can see some colored, blue colored line. Let me show you a photocopy of a picture I already placed there. Copy. It takes quite a time, so